Welcome to 28 Days and Beyond.
Where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture.
I'm Amari.
I'm Kharisma. Welcome back. Hi,
What's up?
Amari.
How you doing?
We did that at the same time.
Same time. That's it. What's going on?
Chilling.
Yo, back when I was in college, my old college days.
Back in the day.
Yeah, if we wanted people to come out to the Black Student Organization meeting, you know, we knew what we had to do.
And what was that?
We had to talk about relationships.
Oh. Was it
people,
effective?
What? The thing will be like, I ain't never even seen you on campus and you out here, right? People love to talk about relationships. I mean, people love to talk about relationships. You know, the drama, the hope,
Yes.
the aspirations, the past experiences that went wrong, the past experiences that went right. So, you know, people love to talk
All
about
of
every
it.
aspect of relationship, and that's what we're going to be talking about
Yes.
today on
And
28 Days.
specifically,
Right?
healthy
relationships. Yeah, because
it is important to make that distinction.
I mean, if they want to look at some unhealthy
This
relationships,
isn't
there's
the
plenty.
place
Yeah,
to
there's
come.
plenty of stuff on
we
television.
talk about healthy relationships. We are building. We want to see people flourish.
Yeah.
We want to see the glow up. All of those things.
Is that what the kids are saying?
I don't know.
So check this out. There's an old saying, hurt people hurt people.
I believe that's true.
How do you enter into a healthy relationship when you are still dealing with the hurts of your past?
That's a very good question.
I'm deep.
Yeah. I think to a certain degree, all of us are dealing with some hurt.
Oh, without a doubt.
On a very basic
Yeah.
level, right? You can't experience life as a human being without experiencing
Can't
some
escape childhood
hurt.
without some kind of, yeah.
Exactly. So I think the key is acknowledging your hurts, and particularly acknowledging those hurts that have come from relationships, and being able to not bring those hurts or the things that have happened with you in past relationships into your new relationship. That's when it becomes unhealthy.
Now, but how can you say, I was hurt, but I'm not going to bring that around here?
Well, I'm not an expert,
Okay.
but
What?
watch this.
Do it.
We have an expert
Oh,
in studio with us today
what?
who's going to be talking about a lot of these topics.
Who is it?
Dr. George James,
Okay.
relationship and family therapist, is going to be joining us today.
Nice.
He's going to be talking about healthy relationships, building, and all the stuff that I'm not an expert on, but I would love to hear more about.
That's what's up. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, so we're going to talk to George about, you know, some of the different programs and things that he's been working on to help couples foster healthier relationships and continue to build and grow. So we'll be joined back with Dr. George James. But we're going to take a break on 28 Days and Beyond, and we'll be back right after this.
Welcome back to 28 Days and Beyond. We are joined now by Dr. George James.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad to be here.
It's good to have you.
Yes.
So we're on this topic, relationships. You are an expert in relationships. Is that a good way to sum it up?
I would say I'm an expert in trying to help people with their
There it
relationships.
is. That's
there
what's
it
up. So what does that mean? What are some of the things that you do in your work?
So I'm
I like how you handle that.
I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, which means I've been working for the past 17 and a half years, helping people have better, stronger, amazing relationships.
That's awesome.
I got a question to ask you. This is one thing. This is a theoretical inquiry. Do you think that if both parties are willing to put in the work, that anybody can make a marriage work?
You know, that's a really good question, right? Like, so anybody is a really hard answer.
Yeah.
But I do like
some people
that.
are just plain crazy.
Right. Some people are crazy, and some people, they've just been through so much. It's going to take them a lot of work, not just like an average amount.
Yeah.
But I do believe in work, right? Like,
Of course.
what can we be successful in life when we're not putting work in?
Very true.
Whether it be our career, whether it be sports, whether it be a hobby, you got to put work in. But somehow we feel like in relationships, it's just supposed to happen.
It's supposed to be
Right.
easy.
Right, like it's
It's
just like you
supposed
just
to
fall
happen,
into a really
the
good
love
relationship.
happens, and then all of these miracles.
Word.
That
just-
doesn't happen. Like you
Yeah.
put work into anything you want to be successful. And so if you do put the work in, I do think a majority of people can have a great relationship if they do that.
So what are some of like the first steps towards, you know, when a couple comes to see you, where does it start for them? Does it start at, you know, what are the areas that you need to heal, or does it start with kind of like the history of them as a couple? Like where do you start with couples?
So there's a lot of different ways people can practice, but for me, I try to give people credit. I mean, it's not easy. Like, who am I? I'm just like this random dude that you want to come and spill your life to.
Yeah.
So I try to give people like some credit that like you want to invest in your relationship, that you're willing to come talk to this stranger and then pay me money after that, right? So like I give them credit to let them know that this is a big deal. And then we start to look at what are the areas that they might want to improve on. A lot of times it's communication, because no matter what the issue is, you still need to communicate in a better way. And then from there, helping them to have really good times with each other. Because sometimes when it's a simple formula. If you're having bad times more than you're having good times, your relationship is in a bad place. So we're really trying to help people get to more good times than the bad, which means sometimes we got to dig into some really heavy, deep emotional stuff.
And one of the events that you do works with couples that have been together for a while, trying to get them to a good place. So can you talk about First and 10?
Yeah, so, you know, I got to this place, at least for me, right? Like, I've been around like some amazing, in my mind, some really just dope people. And I would hear them talk about their relationships and how like they ended up breaking up or they ended up in a divorce. And I'm like, you know, what would happen if these amazing people are not able to stay connected? And it really got me to thinking about what are some of the pitfalls to marriages, especially within that first 10 years. And it got me to thinking about like, you know, football and 1st and 10 and how like the real goal is to get that first down. And if you get enough first downs, you get to that touchdown. You get enough touchdowns, hopefully more than the other team, you're going to win. But in marriage, the first down is really about getting to that 10 years. There's something about saying, I get 10 years with my partner. We overcame obstacles, children, work, health, whatever it is, and got to 10. Especially because there's a peak right around 8 years where people end up divorcing. So I wanted to just help people, one, with some of the lessons I learned personally and clinically of how to get to that first 10 years. And it's kind of my belief that if I can get you to 10, I think I can get you to forever.
10 to forever.
I mean, that's
I'm just saying, like the things that you need to develop in 10 years, they just repeat. Right? Yeah, there's more challenges along the way, but if you could really lock it in those 10 years, I think it can help along the way.
I mean, you know, the one of the things that we were talking about in the opening was there's also the fact that, you know, all right, so everybody, what was this? Relationship goals, isn't it what the young folks are talking about?
Hashtag relationship goals.
I'm looking at somebody else's relationship, and I want that for my life. Anyway, but the point is, how do you suggest that people go about, the fact is I'm entering a relationship and I want somebody who's X, Y, and Z, but I'm not looking in the mirror at myself, right? And I want you to bring this to the table, but what am I bringing to the table? That's not a question that, you know, many folks sort of ask themselves to. So when we come back from the break, I'd love to really jump into that.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that.
We'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond after this.
Welcome back to 28 Days and Beyond. We are still here with Dr. George James. Hi, George.
Hi.
Before the break, so what we were talking about, right? What is the work that individuals need to do when going into a relationship to deal with some of the hurts and the baggage of their past?
You know, to the point, I think it's really important that we do that self-work. It's really hard to really reflect on what is going on with you. Why am I tripping? Why am I upset? Why do I want to get angry in this moment? Like, you know, I do this work and I love this work, but I also have to do the work for myself. Right? My wife and I, we're not perfect. We're just normal, everyday folks. But I have to ask myself, like, why did that make me upset? And is it because of something between us? Is it something because I had a tough day? Is it something from my childhood? Now, everybody's not going that deep all the time, but if we are self-reflective, it can make a difference, because if you could respond versus react, it can make a difference.
One of the things that I hear a lot of couples talk about too is, you know, making time for each other, right? We all kind of get into this rhythm of like our day-to-day lives and our responsibilities, be it work, be it, you know, family, children, whatever it may be. And sometimes people get lost in that and don't put aside time for the relationship. And we hear, you know, a lot of people talk about date nights, but you actually have an event that you do called Date Night Redo. So can you tell us about that?
Yeah, you know, as cliche as it is, a lot of people stop dating. Right? Like they do it in the beginning, they get together, they feel good, and they just stop after some time. And I realized that over and over, couple after couple, I kept encouraging them to do their date night. And a lot of my work is also taking what happens in therapy outside. So there's some things I love. I love live music, I love performances, I love good talks, I love for people to have a good time with their partner and to just be in a good space with other couples. And so I decided to create an event where you can do all those things, and that's called Date Night Redo. where it's an opportunity for couples who don't usually kind of go out or stop that date night to do this event. Wow. One of the things I realized, I was just talking to a couple about that today, is that we can have individual goals and sometimes we can have family goals where we're not focused on the family, but we stop having those couple goals, and that's where the date night event comes in.
That's really interesting. I mean, I can attest to, by prioritizing something as simple as that, and it doesn't have to be big and elaborate. I'm not flying nobody to France for the weekend, because that's, but I mean, even just taking an hour, just some one-on-one alone time, I mean, it really sort of reinvigorates the situation. But it also makes me think about, so you talk about getting couples to those first 10 years of marriage. We have been seeing, if social media is any indicator, a resurgence in an emphasis on marriage, healthy marriage. And I'm thinking specifically of the Black Love documentary, which has been getting, astronomical viewership. And it's amazing to me because it's actually very simple. It's a very simple concept. The production value isn't off the charts, right? It's just sitting down and people talking about something that, in very honest ways, about something that we all go through or we've had experiences with. How have you sort of seen that shaping the work that you do, or rather echoing the work that you do, or has it at all?
I see more people willing to come to talk to somebody like me, right? That the thought, and of all races and background, but especially like Black folks, where typically we haven't trusted therapy and mental health. Being willing to say like, okay, I'm willing to come talk to you. And like going back to First and 10, one of the kind of tracks on there is called It's Just a Phase. And that's something that I learned with my wife and I, where learning from older couples that, this thing that like we're beefing at or having like a lot of struggle around, it's a phase. But in your mind, you can think like this is the end of our relationship. But if you could switch it to it's just a phase, it really changes what happens. So that's what I mean in terms of what you said, that there are more examples, more just real conversations, that it's not this mystical thing to have a real relationship. It's work, it's honesty, it's being vulnerable, it's things that we know, we just gotta practice it.
Yeah. It's interesting too that we're kind of coming, I don't want to say full circle, because for a lot of people they're just getting to that point, but really getting to the point where people are willing to seek professional help when it's like, okay, we've been trying this for a while, it's not working, let's get somebody else's perspective in here to kind of help us get it together. But for the people out there, where can they reach you and find out more about your work and the events that you're doing?
The best way is online. My website is georgetalks.com, and Twitter and Instagram is georgetalks. So it's very easy to get me. And the goal, my heart, is really to help people have amazing relationships, because it just trickles through everything else. Your work, your family, everything else. When your relationship's on point, everything else is better.
Absolutely. Well, George, thank you so much for
really
coming to join us.
Thank you. I enjoyed being here.
Awesome. We'll be back with more 28 Days and Beyond right after this.
And we're back on 28 Days and Beyond. He was dropping some jewels.
He was
dropping some jewels.
You know what, Amari? You know what's interesting? It's great that we had George here. Recently, I read an article, and it was about Aisha Curry and Steph Curry.
Yeah.
And in the article, they were saying that they make sure that they keep their relationship first, meaning coming before their children.
Yeah.
Because if they keep the foundation secure, then everything else will fall in line.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
I agree. I mean, because one of the things that Dr. James said was that basically that is the current that runs. So if your relationship is strong, then everything else kind of falls into place. And I certainly agree with that and understand why that would be important. Yeah. But one of the things that, because you mentioned them, and that is for many people, huh?
Couple goals.
Yeah, right. But sometimes I wonder. No, I'm not gonna start hating on nobody.
What?
All right, I'll say it. Okay, let me put it this way. When I was a young man, people used to say, a relationship, relationship, a marriage, that's work, right? Like, y'all know it's work, right? And you'd be like, word, okay. Nah, marriage is work. You're like, yeah, but like, what does that mean? Come on, man, it's work. And it's like, but you're not helping me understand. Like, you're saying it's a lot of work, but until I met a brother who said, I call it hugging your inner cactus. And he said it's a matter of like, the type of work is embracing those things which are so painful and still holding on, right? And one of the things that I've really seen is that your problems with somebody else ain't got nothing to do with them. As all a reflection
of.
you know what I'm saying? And now at that point, it's like, oh, you know, you always late. You always late. Oh, it always takes so long to get ready,
Right.
right? That says less about the This is more about me, right? This is more about me. And am I
It
going
says
to?
you're impatient.
It could be, or it could be a number of things, but it could. But the real takeaway is that am I willing to do the work to
Yeah.
investigate why it bothers me? And you know, that's a
Right.
small example, but I'm actually a strong proponent of like these things. If you don't get them as they appear, they just get to be bigger
That's
and
very
bigger and
true.
bigger, and then that's why you find yourself 3, 4, 6, 7 years down the line, like, nah, I'm
Like,
out of here. 'Cause
yeah,
you
I
just
don't
never
wanna
dealt
do
with the
it,
monster
right.
in the closet.
Again, like you said, it's doing the inner work,
Man.
doing the individual work, and then you can work together as a couple to fix whatever issues you
Word.
guys are having.
And I mean, and the reason I relate that to this whole relationship goals things is because it seems like that's more exterior focused. And, you know what I mean? The reason that they have become relationship goals, right? Will and Jada.
Yeah.
You think about everything that the work that they've had to do together that was very difficult, that wasn't on TV, that wasn't on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Like that's really where the emphasis needs to be placed. Instead of looking at what other people are doing, it's like, yo, preparing yourself for those type of relationships.
Absolutely.
But I'm gonna get off my soapbox right now. You know what I'm saying? But I think this is definitely a topic that's extremely important to all of us.
It is. I mean, as much work as everyone says that marriage is, and it is. I think any relationship with any person is a lot of work, but at the end of the day, marriage and relationships are beautiful, so encouraging those relationships is a good thing.
Healthy relationships.
Healthy relationships.
It's been another episode of 28 Days and Beyond.
Where we talk about our history, our heritage, and our culture. We'll see you next time.